It's Vince. Today in this video we're going to be discussing configuring Warp9's Ethernet smooth stepper to support two G540's in parallel, providing you up to 6-axis and motion control. Now, if you haven't seen my first video yet on installing the ESS properly using Warp9's SEU module, which is more or less their driver platform for the Ethernet smooth stepper, you'll want to watch that video first to make sure you have all T's crossed and I's dotted so that you don't run into any potential issues when you go to configure the system to support two drives. So again, pause this, come back to it later once you've done that. For my guys out there that have done that already, you can see I'm inside of Mach 3 here. Now I'm going to continue with configuring Mach for the two drives. So you're going to come over here to config. We're going to go to ports and pins. And you can see here we've got port 1, which will always by default be enabled in Mach 3. Port 2 now will be required to be enabled, and this is just logical because port 2 on the ESS board now will be supporting the second G540. So just make sure that box is checked. You don't have to manipulate anything with port address because the ESS, again, is a totally segregated unit. We're not dealing with a parallel port. I'm going to come over here to motor outputs. And you can see here you're just going to match what I have here. Very simple. The first drive, X-axis, step pin 2, direction pin 3. Y-axis, step pin 4, direction pin 5. Z-axis, step pin 6, direction pin 7. And A-axis, step pin 8, direction pin 9. Now keep in mind, under Mach's default settings, the A-axis is typically never enabled, nor will the B and C. You'll have to enable these. So once that's taken care of, you're all set. The big thing here is on the first drive, being we have all 4 axes enabled, naturally, and we're going to have potentially 5 and 6, you want to make sure that on the first drive, on the first 4 axes, you have your step port and direction port allocated to 1. Once again, 1 symbolizes the Ethernet port 1 on the ESS, and that's once again going to the first drive. So secondary drive over here, real simple. Now, depending on if you're using a 5-axis with the secondary drive or a 6-axis, most of you will select as many axes as you'll be using. You don't need to enable more axes than you're actually using, so you may stop at 5 or you may stop at 6. It's up to you and what your particular system is supporting. What you will be using, and I'm just putting in this arbitrarily here, being the G540 typically will come with 4 axes available, meaning you'll have your X, Y, Z, and A axis available. You can allocate on that drive whatever you'd like to be your B axis, which is represented by in Mach 3 as your 5th axis. So I'm just arbitrarily stating that it would be my X axis. So again, I'm just carrying over the step and direction pins from X axis on the first drive once again to the B axis, which would be my 5th axis represented in Mach 3, and also my 5th axis on the secondary G540. Very, very simple. The C axis here, once again, I'm representing it as the Y axis on my secondary drive, and I'm just pulling down once again the step pins here and also the direction pin for my Y axis. So 4 and 5 would naturally be allocated to C axis. Once that's done, we want to make sure that now we're going to step port 2 and direction port 2 for the secondary drive. That will enable the B axis and C axis, if you're going up to 6-axis, for the secondary drive to actually provide motion. So again, real simple and logical. First drive will use step port 1, direction port 1, and secondary drive will use step port 2 and direction port 2. And once again, it's arbitrary. You can set your axis whatever you choose to. As far as the secondary G540, just keep in mind, just carry down the step pin and direction pin numbers from the first drive on whatever axis you'll be using, and you'll be all set. Now what we're going to do, because I know I've get a lot of questions on this, the input signals. The inputs on your first G540, you'll have 4 inputs and 2 outputs. Now the secondary G540, you're going to also have 4 inputs and 2 outputs. How you allocate the two, then they use the same numbers. The only difference is that you'll be allocating for the secondary drive under port 2. So let's say, for instance, you wanted your X home switch arbitrarily to be set on a secondary input on the drive, meaning the second G540. You would just click on this and then just select port number 2 and then just allocate and naturally enable it and then go pin number, whatever input number you'll be using on drive 2, and you'll be all set. Once again, very, very simple process. And again, it's purely logical. Port 1 allocates the first drive, port 2 allocates to the secondary drive. Okay, once this is all done, you'll click on apply, of course, get out of here. Okay, we'll just reset this because it drives me crazy. And now that that's all been taken care of, we want to make sure that the plugin for the ESS is configured correctly. So go into plugin control on the top of the screen, and then we're going to go to main config. And you can see here where we've got direction pins 2 through 9. Now port 2 will typically be a default setting of in. You want to set this to out so that those signals are actually reaching the drive to actually control the 5th and 6th axis. Once you do this, it'll ask you to actually click OK. You must restart Mach. Very simple. You'll do that. Now once that's done, many of you will actually find, now I'm using right here the screen set, which represents only 4 axes. I've already done another video where you actually install the screen set for the 6th axis. That must be done as well. And the reason you'll want to do that is because if you actually don't have any representation here on your DROs, your diagnostics stop at the 6th axis, but once again, you'll never see that on the program run screen. So that's why I've already done a video previously on installing the 6-axis screen set. Watch that video as well. You can do that afterwards, and that'll be fine. The next step would be configuring your hotkeys, because if you don't configure your hotkeys for your 4th, 5th, and 6th axis, you will not get motion. In order to do this, it's very, very simple. I've actually covered it even in the 6-axis screen set video. You'll click on whatever axis you want. You can see A, B, and C, that first letter, and just click on whatever key you'd like on the keyboard, and you can see it'll change. And if I go here, I've actually set these previously to plus and minus on my number keyboard. If I go to 9 and 6, for instance, you'll see a change there. And then if I go here, 6, it changed. And if you want to zero it out, because a lot of guys get confused with that, you don't have to do much. Just don't click on anything. Just click the actual box in the right corner, and you'll see it'll zero it out. So this way you'll know you can set them up. If you do not set an allocated hotkey to control motion for these additional axes, you will find that you will not control the motion. So make sure you go through this step once again once you install the 6-axis screen set. And you'll be all set to go, guys. Again, I hope this video has been helpful. If you do need to contact me with questions, remember my direct email is storm2313@gmail.com. You can request anything from questions to quotes. If you want to also contact me through eDealers Direct, that's my eBay store. I'll put a link in the description below for that as well. I hope this video has been helpful. This will get you up and running in no time and get that system making money, which is most important. Thank you all for your support, my subscribers. I love you guys. I'm going to keep the videos coming. Take care.